Hi, Peer Mentor Lilybeth here. Welcome to what may or may not be the last week of virtual workshop, but it doesn't matter anyways because I'll see you guys at the physical one. Just checking all my apps here. For some reason I have less than last time. Okie doke. Let's check that everything's in order. All the things are posted in the social medias. And yeah, we're all good. Okay, so today, as some of you may know, we're going to be talking about characterization, specifically the characterization of villains, and we're also going to talk a little bit about conflict. Now, an important point I want to make with the villains, just like I made with the heroes, sorry for the background noise, just like I made with the heroes, is that villains and antagonists aren't like equal, okay? Just let me pause the video. Villains and heroes are not equal. I'm sorry. Villains and antagonists are not equal. Just like the hero and the protagonist are not equal, you know. Heroes generally are protagonists, but not all protagonists are heroes. Just like all villains are antagonists, but not all antagonists are villains, or at least 90% of the villains are antagonists. So my point is, the villain is not, the antagonist is not necessarily a villain. The antagonist can be something else or someone else. It doesn't have to be a villain. So let's quickly just separate those two. Yes, villains are antagonists, but not all antagonists are villains. Because that's a type of character. It's a type of antagonist. So two separate things. There's the big general group, and then a villain is a subgroup of the antagonist group. I have a hair on my face. Okie doke. Gonna check if you guys are checking in on the comments. As you know from previous times, the comments for me appear at a later date than they do for you. So I have to refresh because this isn't 100% live. You see things a little bit slower than I do, than what they actually happen in real time. So there's always that little issue with the comments. Okay, nothing yet. Let's get started then. Let's jump into characters. Let me just make sure that everything in the social media is spread out here. I always feel awkward because it's like, then by the time you see this, you're probably like, why are you pausing? And it's like, I know it already happened for me, but it hasn't happened for you. We're in different times. We are live. There we go. And then over here, just open up a big old message. And put oh no. Oh, here it is. I found it. I was looking for where you messaged the group. There we go. The workshop is live. There we go. Perfect. Perfect. Okie doke. Okay, so jumping into the theme about heroes. Okay, getting some replies here. Just spreading the word that the workshop is live. Okay, so let's get started on the theme of characterization. Okay, so as we know, characterization is when we, create the characters. We make them who they are. We characterize them. Now, when we're characterizing a villain, when we're creating a villain, there are certain things that we have to keep in mind. Of course, you have the basics that you do with every character, like appearance and possible personality traits, but there are certain things that you just gotta keep in mind when you're working specifically with villains. Check up on you guys' comments. Okie doke. It's all good. Hi, Luisa. Thank you for joining us. Okay, so when creating a villain, these are the things that you want to keep in mind. First, start off with why are they evil? So, there are different types of villains, and you got to figure out why Let's see if that works. Okay, I switched to the ones on my computer. I don't know if it's working because I gotta wait for the video to catch up to the live feed. We'll see if it worked. I hope it did. Excellent. It is working good. I just have to talk really, really loud, but I think it's going to work. Okay. If you guys need to put the volume up, then I recommend you do. And if it's too low, let me know. And thank you. Sorry about that. I'll repeat. So it left off where it says, why are they evil? Okay. So when creating a villain, the very first thing you want to think about is, why is the villain evil? And you also want to think about what type of villain you want. Now, why are they evil? Is the villain a sadist, psychopath, sociopath? Is that just all they've ever known? This is how they have grown up? It's their way of life? They've never known anything else? Has society labeled them that way? You know, they're not actually evil, but society thinks that the things they do is evil? Do they have some sort of dark past that led them to be evil? Are they just crazy? You know, why are they evil? You gotta look for that motivation that your character has to be evil. Let me just check up on you guys. It's working now. Okay, good. Keep looking over here. Okay, so next, what type of villain do you want? So when you're deciding why they're evil, you need to consider what type of villain you want. Now, there are various types. First, we have the sadist. Now, in the category of sadist, we have the sociopaths and the psychopaths. I'm going to clear this up real quick first, that sociopaths and psychopaths are not all murderers. There are perfectly normal sociopaths and psychopaths that live in society and they have careers and lives and they're totally normal and there's no reason to think any other way. Now, the fact is that in literature we like to use them because they can make some really freaky villains because of the whole no emotions thing. And my hair is driven me crazy. Because of that whole factor of the emotional factor, it really helps in creating this type of villain that's just like so evil. And that's why they're commonly used. But in real life, there are plenty of regular, normal sociopaths and psychopaths that are just fine and aren't killers or anything like that. There's a little bit of everything in the world. Okay, so is that the type of villain you want? You want a villain that the reason that they kill is because they have no emotions, or because they're a sadist, they enjoy killing. They're like, I kill because it gives me a high, I love it, you know. And typically you see them as kids, they start killing dogs, and then they just escalate to people and bigger and badder things. Or maybe they don't kill, maybe they are like rapists or something like that. I don't know. Depends on what your killer does. The other type of villain that we have is the sympathetic villain. The villain that everybody likes, and it's like, oh, he's evil, but he's so awesome, and it's like, that happens a lot lately. You have that one villain, and it's like, he's evil, but he has all these things that happened to him in the past, and you feel so bad, and you're like, oh my god, but he's so great, and it's not his fault, and he's just so awesome, I love him. And you can sympathize with the villain. So that's the sympathetic villain. Do you want your villain to be someone that your readers can sympathize with? They're like, I get you, man, I get you, yeah. And they're on the villain side. They understand the villain's motivations and the things that have happened to the villain, and they sympathize with him. Now, is your villain a confused villain? A villain that's not sure what they're doing? Why they got into this? It was just one crazy mess, and they're just lost and confused, and they're not really bad. They're just confused, you know? And they're going to be led towards the path of redemption. Or are they just crazy? They're just, you know, bonkers. Forget it. They're just insane. Like Azula at the end of Avatar, that she lost her mind, like that. Kind of crazy. So those are just a couple of different types of villains. You got to decide what type of villain is your villain. Now I'm going to check up on the comments. Let me just refresh this page. Okay, put back here. Okay. Next, you have to think about what's going to be the end result of this villain? You know, where are you going with your villain? At the end of this story, is your villain going to die? Is he going to end up in prison or get captured? Is he going to be redeemed and he's going to become good in the end? Or is he going to be victorious at the end? He's going to succeed and the hero's going to fail. Because sometimes, you know, villains are the protagonists, which is my point. That, you know, antagonist and villain is not the same thing, it's just a type of character. So it could go in any of those directions. In that case, when the villain is the protagonist, the hero becomes their antagonist. Depends from which side the story is being told. Nobody is the villain in their own story. Okay. See what I did there? Nobody's the villain. Sorry, that was cheap. That was terrible. Yeah, no. I was going to say something else. Yeah, okay. Now, another thing that you want to take into consideration is what have they done before it's not necessarily during the story. This is not their goal. This is something else. I'm talking about what have they done before that has been deemed evil? What have they done to earn this title of evil? Like, did they burn a village down? Did they steal? Did they treat someone badly? Did they do something mean to your protagonist? Does society just label them evil because society's messed up and they're not actually a bad person? I don't know. What is it that they have done that has been deemed evil? And last but not least, wait, no, still got a couple more. Oh, do they have a history with your hero? You know, think about, do they have anything with your hero before the story that has occurred with them or during the story? Are they going to have some sort of connection before the plot takes place? Do they have a history? Have they been nemesis for years? Like, do they or do they not? It's a yes or no question. Do they or do they not have a relationship with your hero? A previous relationship with your hero. And you also want to take into consideration what is their current goal in your story? What is that big goal that they currently have in your story? Example, world domination, or to ruin your hero's life, or just personal issues. I don't know, you know, maybe they just want to rob a bank and be rich or something. It's up to you. What is their goal? It's important to think about it from the beginning. What is their goal? What are they trying to achieve? Maybe they do smaller evil things along the way, but what is their ultimate goal? What are they working towards during the entire story? And finally, you got to write a backstory for your villain. Now, when you're creating characters, you need to write everything and anything about them. You need to go as deep as you can with them. Even if the reader's never going to read that backstory, never going to know anything about the backstory, you need to write it, because the more you know about your character, the better you can write him, the more real he will seem. You need to know him extremely well, and the way you get to know him is through characterization. So you gotta sit down and create a backstory for this villain. Even if it's never revealed or never brought up, write it. What was their childhood like? Where were they born? Who are their parents? Where did they grow up? What was their situation, their social status? What important things happened in their life? How did they start the path to evil? What other evil things have they done? What has been the course in their story? Write that backstory. Even if you're not going to use it in the story, write it, because you need to know your villain. You need to know him well. And the way to do that is just working on him as much as possible. Everything, every little detail you can write about him, write it, because it's going to help you picture him better, and you're going to be able to write him properly and consistently throughout the whole story. So you've got to map that out. You've got to think about that. And think about, you know, based on their backstory, there's so much. Their level of education, their age, all of those things are so important and play such a big role to how they're going to express themselves and the way that they're going to think things, and how are they going to go about all the different situations and make the decisions they have to make are all based on who they were. Their history is so important. So sit down and write that backstory. Even if it's not going to be the type of villain that you want your reader to sympathize with, even if you're never going to bring it up, write it. Get in there. Now I'm going to check out the comments. Yeah, nobody's a villain in their own story. The perspective does change things. That is true, Lisa. Not even the villain is a villain in his own story. And, let's see. Okay. That's all I got for you guys in terms of little things that you should keep in mind about villains. Now, there's a link that I've posted in the description down below. It's to a post on this Tumblr page, which is very, I mean, the post is very good. I don't know about the rest of the Tumblr page. But this particular post is really good. It is about villains. I'm going to go ahead and just screen share for you guys and look for that, because I want to show you this page. Okay, so here we go. Their Tumblr page is called The Writing Cafe. And this particular post is about a guide to writing a villain. And it's very good. As you can see here, it goes over just like basics about villains, background, name, personality, morality, those things that you need to take into consideration when you're creating a villain. In fact, heck, any character. And then it has the 9 alignments, which is very good, very interesting. If in the future you guys want to discuss the 9 alignments, we can. I'm sure you've seen this chart before. This is, you know, lawful good, neutral good, chaotic good, lawful neutral, neutral, chaotic neutral, lawful evil, natural neutral evil, and chaotic evil. So there are different, as you can see here, different ways that the chart goes. And here he goes into an in-depth description of each of the different types that are on this list. And this can really help you not just for your villain, but for your hero as well. So I recommend you read it. Very good. As well as down here, I'm going to show you. See, he talks about motive, things that you may want to avoid when they're doing things, you know, things that you want to avoid: minions, fools, weaklings, hissing, cackling, laughing maniacally, mannerisms. And then down here, as you can see, he links to more, or she, I really don't know, links to more resources about different types of villains. You got regular villains, creating villains that people hate, complex villains, the 9 villains in literature and film, and sympathetic villains. So I recommend you read this if you want more help with villains. It's very, very good, very well written, and there are links to even more articles. So I really recommend that you check this out because it's very good. The link is in the description. Let me just stop the screen share. There we go. Check up on your comments. With both the hero and villain, you have to know them thoroughly. That is correct. With every single character. In fact, the only ones that you can really, you know, just like toss to the side and not really pay much attention to them is to shadow characters, to flat characters, and there's another quality, another type of character, but I can't remember what it's called. But yeah, just those other characters that that aren't full, that aren't round and full. Is it? Yeah. Just characters that aren't like completely made, that are just one dimension, that you only see them in one aspect and they don't really grow in the story, or that are just shadows, you know, background characters that really like that a random cat lady at a supermarket or some random dude that got killed, you know, those you don't really have to go very deep into them. It's like they're flat. They're flat characters for a reason. You know, they don't have any depth to them. They serve simple purposes of mechanism in the story to push the plot along, and you really don't need to go too deep into it. And you don't really need to write a backstory for every one of these people unless you're writing a murder series and you want to, you know, during the investigation talk about things that'll help you solve a case related to the character. But other than that situation, there's no need to go deep into those. But all the other characters that are going to grow and you see multiple dimensions of them in the story that have those two qualities, then you definitely got to go as deep as possible. You got to know them very well so that you can write it well. Checking out the comments. I know the 9 alignments as the moral alignment. That too. I'm sure it has many names. Okay. So now I'm going to talk about conflict. As we all know, we talked about this a little bit earlier in the workshop last month, but it's good to have a little refresher. And we talked about conflict. Now, as we know, there are 3 types of conflict. We have man versus man, man versus nature, and man versus himself. And man versus himself. Now, man versus man, that is when you have 2 characters opposing each other. So that's the situation with a villain and a hero. The villain and the hero are up against each other. It's a man versus man conflict occurring in the story. Of course, we all know that in longer works like novels, you're going to have multiple smaller conflicts and one large conflict. So you might see different types of conflicts interlacing. You might see all 3 types of conflicts occur throughout the story. But, of course, you got to keep in mind that there's going to be one big shaboom in your story, the big conflict that's the most important one. Even though they're going to be smaller ones, there's going to be one big conflict that's the one that you're going to work your way up there. It's just going to burst, and that'll be the peak of the climax of your story. So there's that one big conflict, and you got to decide what is that one big conflict. Is it man versus man? Is it man versus nature? Or is it man versus himself? What is the big overlining conflict of your story, or novel, or poem, or whatever it is? Now, in the case of villains, generally, it's going to be man versus man, the biggest conflict, because the conflict is that character in particular. So the conflict is the issue between those 2 characters, so that's man versus man. It's pretty simple. Man versus another man. It's 2 people against each other, 2 characters against each other. So the villain and the hero are opposing in ideas and in situations. They both want different things, and what this guy wants hinders what this guy wants, and what this guy wants hinders what this guy wants. So that's the issue there. Like what the hero wants, if he gets it, then this guy's not going to get what he wants, and if this guy gets what he wants, then this guy's not going to get what he wants. So that's where the issue occurs, and you have the man versus man conflict. Let me check on the comments. Okay, go. I lost the sound again. Oh no. Oh, weird. It's working. Oh, okay. Good. I was worried. Because I don't know what I was going to do if we lost the audio again. I'm out of microphones. Okay. Next, I'm going to go over man versus nature. Now, man versus nature is, you know that new movie that's coming out called Into the Storm? About tornadoes? Yeah. The whole plot of that movie is the most literal interpretation of man versus nature that you can get. But yeah, that movie, all those volcano movies and the earthquake movies and all those natural disaster movies, The Day After Tomorrow, man versus nature. It's just a circumstance caused by the environment, and that's the issue, the conflict. So that's man versus nature. And it's not necessarily literally a force of nature, like the examples I just gave. It can just be the environment against the character. Maybe the things that are occurring in the environment are affecting the character, not just in a nature kind of way, but maybe just everything about the environment where he is located. And like maybe there's this one character, he's growing up in a bad neighborhood and there's a lot of trafficking and he has low resources and he has an abusive family and an unhealthy home, and all of these circumstances around him are affecting him and bombarding him, and he is a victim of his environment. He's in a man versus nature situation. Everything around him is what's causing that issue. It's his environment. It's not one particular person or one particular thing, just the environment by which he is surrounded that causes the conflict. Then we have man versus himself. In this situation, it's when it occurs in the brain of your character. And basically, it's the saying, you are your own worst enemy. And it's basically that. You are your own worst enemy. Your mind starts messing with you, and it's just internal turmoil, inner conflict. It's the big thing that we call inner conflict. Generally, it doesn't tend to be the main issue, but sometimes it is. Like sometimes the true problem in a story is the protagonist's own insecurity, and that's what's causing the true problem. And if the hero or the protagonist or whoever it is in your story, whatever type of character it is, if they didn't have the insecurities that they had, there wouldn't be a conflict at all. Everything would be fine. That's when it's that's when it's man versus himself. When the conflict is coming from the protagonists themselves. They are the ones causing their own problems. It's all in their heads. It's their own problems. They have to solve their issues, and they're the ones causing themselves the agony. That's man versus himself. I'm going to check the comments real quick once more. It's man versus man, the most common one. I've read a few stories that have man versus nature conflicts. They were quite suspenseful. Well, I would say in terms of, they're all common. I think the least common to see centered as a main plot is man versus nature. I mean, there are a bunch of stories like that, but when you take into consideration how often they appear in comparison to the other two, I think it's the least one that appears. And which one appears the most? Well, it depends in what way you're looking at it. Because as a main plot, like the big problem and big issue in the story, yeah, man versus man tends to be the most common. But man versus himself is generally in almost every story. It's always there. They always have that issue of insecurity and inner turmoil. It's a very common phenomenon. So it's not always the center hook of the story. It's not always the big important conflict, the big overlapping conflict, but it's definitely always there. It's definitely part of the smaller conflicts along the way. So I would say that the most common one in terms of overall throughout a story, I think, is man versus himself. But the most common one for overarching plotline, I would say, is man versus man. And man versus nature is also pretty common. It's just that they're all very common, but between all of them, I think that's where they stand. Let me check on your comments once more. Let's go. Okay. Sorry. My throat is dry. I have to start bringing water bottles to these things. I don't know if I should go get one or not. Would you mind? I wish I could. Can I edit these things? I always feel bad afterwards. Like, all those people that are going to watch the recording are going to have all these crises and all these pauses for no reason. I'm going to go get a water bottle. I will be right back. Like, less than a minute. You can time it. I don't know. I'll be back. Let me check over here. here and here. Okay, doke. Since we were able to go through that pretty quickly despite the technical difficulties, if you guys are interested, I was thinking I can go ahead and read to you guys from the site and talk about the nine alignments, or the moral alignment, however you guys know it as. So since we have extra time, I think I'm going to go ahead and read that to you guys. I'm going to screen share since I know you guys like that. Let me just... Okay, go here. And go ahead and screen share. As I show you guys this, since I know you like it when I screen sharing this kind of thing. Let me zoom in so that you guys can see better. And go ahead and scroll down to that area. Okay, so here's the table. Let me just check how it looks over here for you guys on this other page. Oh, okay. I haven't caught up yet. I don't know. I'm going to assume that it looks good. Okay, so as you can see, here's the moral alignment or the 9 alignments. This is another way to organize it. Now I'm going to go ahead and start reading to you guys the different types of alignments. So we have the lawful. Lawful characters are honorable to their values, whether those values are ethical or not. They believe everything has a set of rules and that those rules should be followed no matter what. Lawful characters put the needs of the group in front of the needs of an individual. However, these characters may be small-minded and stubborn to change. Example: Hank Hill from The King of the Hill is a lawful character because he greatly respects authority, the law, the government, and a hard-working person. Another character, Lucky, who is from the same show, is also a lawful character because he has a set of personal values and morals that he follows, but they differ greatly from Hank Hill's morals and values. The lawful good, the crusader. The lawful good character is essentially a saint. These characters act how one is expected to. Serving justice is a main priority of these characters, but so is helping those in need and following in a set of morals or values. Castiel from Supernatural would be considered this type of character when he makes his first few appearances. Others include Batman, Indiana Jones, and Captain America. The lawful neutral, the judge. This character strongly believes in the law, honorable values, and a personal set of morals. These characters are disciplined and strictly adhere to the law to maintain order. The moral consciousness of these characters is neutral in regards to the law or tradition, to what the law or tradition calls for. For example, someone may feel as though same-sex marriage is wrong due to their religion, but he or she may also agree that religion should have no say in government affairs and will therefore be in favor of same-sex marriage as a legal bonding. The lawful evil, dominator. These characters follow their own sets of morals, values, and ethics, no matter what the law is. They work around the law and find loopholes, even when taking instructions from authority. These characters are selfish and do not care for the rights or freedoms of others. Rules are important to these characters, but the consequences of harmful laws are not, as long as they do not affect the character. These characters are often tyrants and rulers. The chaotic. Chaotic characters have freedom and flexibility, but reckless. The rebellious teenager is a typical chaotic character, as they stand up against authority and prefer personal freedom. However, these characters may also be egotistical and irresponsible. They are more likely to make mistakes because they think too fast and disregard others. These characters do not believe in coincidence, and they believe the law is meant to be broken. The chaotic good, rebel. These characters listen to their gut and their conscience. These characters are good in nature and do not let others influence their actions. While these characters do what is right and good for social improvement, they disregard the law, the rules, and the societal expectations. The chaotic neutral, free spirit. This character is similar to the chaotic good, but more about the individual than the group. These characters are promoters of freedom and work with those who happen to share the same values and motives. While these characters are most often disorganized, they may have a main goal in mind. The chaotic evil, destroyer. These characters are selfish and will do anything to get what they want. They are often violent, unpredictable, and have no regard for the lives or freedoms of others. These characters are considered the quintessence of evil. The neutral. The neutral characters are a balance between lawful and chaotic. This is the yin and yang of morality. Neutral characters believe the forces of good and evil must work together. The neutral good, benefactor. These characters are kind, generous, and do all they can to benefit the world. These characters have no favor for or against laws, rules, guidelines, or traditions. The neutral, undecided. These characters do whatever seems good and right. These characters are either the balance between all or the absence of all. The neutral evil, malefactor. These characters do not intend to harm, do not follow rules if it is not beneficial to them, and do whatever they can get away with. These characters think of themselves more than the group. Sawyer from Lost is an example. Oh, he also provides an alignment test. I'm curious about this, so I'm going to go ahead and open this. Truly Lawful Productions presents the alignment test. Good and evil, law and chaos. Oh, that's cool. You know what? I'm going to leave the link to this in the description in case you guys want to take the test, or, which is something you can do, take it as your characters. You know, just think about your characters, what they would do, and take the test. And then you'll know what kind of villain you have on your hands. You know, put your little hat on, don't think about yourself, start answering questions as if you were that person. Of course, first you have to create their backstory and all that so that you know who they are. But I'll put that there so you guys can do it. Sometimes, what some writers do as well is they take, like, those measured personality tests for their characters and not just themselves. And that's how they determine the characters. Lawfully, oh, whoa, there are a lot of comments. Can't kill. I sell propane and propane. Lawful neutral. Judge stresses for best lawful neutral ever. I find neutral to be the most difficult character to write on paper. Like it delves into the true nature of neutrality. Like, what is neutral? I agree. Wow. I feel like I'm so on time today. I have time for everything. I've never been worried because I've always had so much material to cover in the workshop. But today, it's like I just shifted through it. I know I always talk fast, but somehow I've always made it last an hour. But today it was like, boom, I got this. Guess it's just one of those days. Well, oh, let's see, more comments. I guess it'll depend on the nature of the, on the contest story. Yeah, that's true. So, do you guys have anything in particular you want me to talk about? Go ahead and say it in the comments since we have free time. We have extra time. We still have like 13 minutes. So, if there's anything you want to talk about, we can. Regarding villains, any questions you have, or anything you want to discuss, let me know. I'm going to drink some water while the video catches up. Let's see. Nope, not yet. Oh, awesome. Past Lily has officially made the question. Now I will await answers. There needs to be a gift. What do you even mean by that? Casually drinking water gift. Lord. I always feel like these pauses are awkward because it's like I have to say stuff and I know that you're not gonna get it till like a minute later. Then I have to sit here and wait. And it makes for some awkward moments. Without success. But is there anything that you guys want to see? Anything you want to talk about? I don't know. Let me know. In the meanwhile, I'm going to read some instructions here regarding the broadcast and how to use it. Show or hide participants in your broadcast with this button. As guests join, hide their audio and video from my broadcast. Yes. Broadcast the large video that I see to my audience and hide the other videos. No. New guests in my large video are muted when they join. No. Well, none of that is useful to me. Sheesh, Google. Still on the neutral thing. I find it very, how you say, objective. But that's the thing about good and bad. It's objective. It's not everything is objective. But I mean, wait, what? But yes, it is objective to a certain extent. I meant to say subjective. There, there are lines, and everybody knows the black and the white. But the grays, those are the tricky ones. Humans, we're complex creatures. Friggin' sandwiches. About sandwiches. Well, we can talk about the fact that soon we will be resuming our physical. My bad, I meant subjective. Oh, okay. Yeah. Soon we're going to have our physical workshop once more, and we're going to have new members because, there will be plenty of first years joining up the university. So that should be good. Hold on. I don't know what I did. I may have messed up everything. Oh, there we go. So, I find that exciting. And as you know, we are going to have our first, we are going to read the stories that we create for Bad to the Bone August at the university. And we're going to have oh God, I punched myself in the face. And we're going to have our professor with us, which is awesome because it's like, woo. I'm excited. Hopefully she'll have time, but yeah. She'll be around, help us in the critiquing process, and we're going to have some ice-breaking activities, and we're going to work through, and we already have a bunch of ideas for things that we're going to do, and great things will come, great things. Yeah, basically. Many of them. I hope many of them. Oh, I'm excited. It's going to be a good semester, you guys. Oh, and of course, we're going to have to be choosing a board soon for the semester. Not for the year. Oh, got some messages here. Anyway. That message had nothing to do with anything. Okay, I think I'm gonna end this because really we're not going anywhere at this rate. But again, you should check out the article because it talks a lot about everything, and it's good. It's very, very good. I mean, let me just read you this one sentence that he wrote. Everyone is a hero in their own way. That's followed by a paragraph. So I think you're going to want to read it. It's good. It is very good. So check out the Tumblr article that I posted below because it's very good. Oh, professors, who's going to join? Last semester we had, oh yeah, sorry. It's just that I just read your question. So I'm going to go ahead and answer that before I wrap up. Last semester we had spoken to Professor Carmen Torres and to Professor, oh my god, I forgot his name. Oh no. I really hope he doesn't watch this because I don't remember his name. Oh my god. It's gone. I'm getting an image of his face and no name. Oh, this is horrible. This is horrible. Wow. No. I don't remember his name. I don't know if you guys have Bonky. No. Well, not Bonky. It's that other professor who... Oh, wait. Is Miguel watching this? Maybe he remembers. Oh, no. Ah, dang it. It's that professor that he's kind of... Yeah, I know what he looks like. I'll tell you. It's that professor that he's kind of young. He's not that old. He has, like, dark hair, and he has, like... Oh, okay. Sorry. Let's see, I don't know. I don't remember his name, but he's, like, slightly on the younger side. Not young, like, 20. I mean, young, like, in his... Maybe I should... Young, like, in his 40s. I already started it. Oh man, I really hope he doesn't watch this. Anyways, it's that one guy. I think he wrote a book. I don't know, man. I don't remember his name. The point is, that professor dude who's pretty awesome professor, and Carmen Torres who's also a pretty awesome professor, so hopefully one of them. They're both awesome, so either one will be great. And I think he's even been at the workshop once. I can't believe I don't remember his name. I can't believe all of this has happened now. Man, that was awesome. Anyways, well, yeah. One of those two professors will be the ones with us. So either way, we're going to get awesome professors, and it's going to be great. No, I thought I remembered his name, but it's like there. It's there, but it's not there. You know? Anyway, so I'll see you guys. Thank you for viewing and commenting, and if you got any questions or anything, you know, you can message us or email us. It doesn't have to be related to villains. Any doubts that you have about writing, you can let us know, and we'll try to help you out as best as we can. I'll see you guys in August, and pay a lot of attention to the Facebook group because we will be telling you when our first meeting will be. Now when the semester starts at the classroom. We'll let you know if it's still in the same classroom and if it's going to, when it's going to start. This Thursday or the next. We're still debating that, so please pay attention because in the following days we're going to let you know. So enjoy what's left of your summer and good luck in all your processes to get your paperwork done for college, and I'll see you guys there. Thanks for watching.